So today I thought I'd deal with a topic that I'm reading about, hearing about everywhere. And so my talk title today is How to Deal with Loneliness. When you listen to the news or you listen to social media, there is so much fear out there about COVID-19. There is so much fear about being with people for fear of getting the illness. There is so much divisiveness about what methodology, what treatment is the right treatment. There is so much fear about will there be additional benefits for 30 plus million people who are unemployed at this time. There is so much fear about the possibility that these 30 million people may be evicted from their homes. And with that fear, people are struggling more than they've ever struggled, feeling lonely, feeling disconnected, feeling separated. And I felt that there was no better time because they're saying, scientists, doctors are saying that the fear of not gathering, the fear of separation is going to have resounding mental health effects for a long time. So I thought we'd address that right now. I thought we'd look at it. So I went back to Ernest Holmes and I asked, what was his idea of loneliness? And he said this: our loneliness is our sense of isolation, our poverty, our doubt, and our sickness. And they are the result of being disconnected from the fullness of the divine self. So really listen to what he said. Our loneliness, our sense of isolation, the feeling of poverty, the feeling of doubt, the experience of sickness are the result of feeling disconnected from life. It's fascinating when you break that down, you understand that all the negative emotions that we feel cause us to feel even more lonely. So being disconnected then is nothing more than our current state of awareness. Is yesterday when I fell, I was not aware that there was a slippery floor. I was not aware that I was rushing. I was not aware. I was in full gear motivation. I was just moving without thinking. I wasn't in awareness. And you see, that disconnection led to my fall. That fall was simply telling me that I was disconnected. There's always a cause before we have an effect. But we are taught not to look for the cause. We're taught to be the victim. We're taught that that happened to you. It just happened. No, it didn't just happen. I claim 100% personal responsibility. And I'm going, man, is the universe kicking me in the ass, isn't it? A year ago in October, I fell and broke a bone in my hand. Why? I wasn't aware. Yesterday I fell and I burst my bursa sac on the side of my hip because I wasn't being aware. And I pride myself with being aware. But I was in such a rush that I was not connected to my true awareness, to my true self. And because I was disconnected, I had that experience. You see, only we have the ability to change our state to feel connected. It's something that's within us. This state of connectedness does not come from anything outside of ourselves. And this is where almost everybody makes this mistake. They believe that this connectedness comes from being with a life partner, being with your mother, being with your father, being with your children, having certain things, being in the Himalayas, being in the vortexes at Sedona, being on Mount Shasta. It has nothing to do with that. It's the ability that we have in every moment to go within and know that we are more than this body, we're more than this mind, we're an individualized whole and a perfect expression of infinite love. And the mind cannot grasp that, but the heart can feel that. But here's the thing that I also know is most of us have closed our hearts down. and we don't feel. And when we feel, we don't listen to those feelings because those feelings are our heart guiding us toward what is innately in us that desires to be expressed and experienced. When we are aware of our connected nature, we can consciously create our experience in the outside world. Do you see, when you know you're one with the infinite, that means you know that the power of the infinite is within you. And when you're taught that the power of the infinite responds to what you believe, and what you believe becomes your experience, oh my God, when you know that, you realize I don't have to wait on anything. I create that experience. It goes back to those 8 words that Jesus spoke. It is done unto you as you believe. So let me define a belief. I've done this before, and I'm going to keep doing it because I'll ask people to define it for me. They can't repeat the words, but if you can't repeat the words, how do you know if you believed? So a belief is very simply this: your thoughts, your words, your actions, and your feelings align toward a specific result held persistently and consistently, either consciously or unconsciously. And you see, most of our beliefs are unconscious. I have a belief that I've not fully changed or uninstalled, is that when there's more to do, speed up. And as a result, yesterday I fell. Isn't that interesting? I have to change that belief. And the belief is I have enough time and I can proceed with awareness, and I do not have to go fast to accomplish great things. Because here's one thing else. I can always say no to doing some things, and we forget that. The word no is one of the greatest words you can know when you're doing self-love. Because in self-love, a lot of people are going to come at you. They're going to want you to fill their void, which you can't do. And they're going to want you to say yes because you got to be a people pleaser. And you've got to look them in the eye and say, no, that's not in alignment with what I choose to experience in life. And that's hard because we've been taught to be people pleasers. You see, to become more aware, the first step we must take is to be comfortable with being alone. You see, loneliness and alone are different. And I believe the best way to achieve this feeling of being comfortable being alone is through the daily practice of meditation. To be able to sit still, to quiet the mind twice a day for 20 minutes. First thing in the morning, and in the late afternoon, early evening, to be still, to sit, to breathe. You could literally create the meditation that I did earlier in the visualization part of the Sunday service, and that is on the breath in, I, on the breath out, am. On the breath in, we, on the breath out, are. On the breath in, love, on the breath out, is. And you just do that over and over for 20 minutes. And you set a timer so you don't have to think about it. So it's I am, we are, love is. I promise if you start that, you will have a sense of peace that will build, and you will again become comfortable being alone. The next step is we must discover who we really are and live our authentic life. It was 2 Saturdays ago, I did a workshop online. I had people from all over the world on this workshop, and it was on the 4 agreements. And I said, the 4 agreements are great, and they work. But before you can do the 4 agreements, you got to learn who you are. And that's when I offered people my personal values determination session, where you meet with me for an hour and a half. And when we're done, you know the hierarchy of your values. And from that, you can discern your life purpose. That's one of the gifts that I offer at Agape. And it's to people who want that. And there is a charge. But I'll guarantee you, you're going to get your money's worth and more. This is something, the 9 people that I've done last week and the 3 more that I've already got booked for next week, I mean, they are changing. They're in tears because they never knew this stuff existed. They never knew that this was calling from within them. Because you've got to discover who you are. You really are. Not what your parents wanted you to be, not what society wants you to be, not what the church wants you to be, not what the politicians want you to be, not what works wants you to be, but what does your heart want to be? You can't go forward in life until you know that. And you can't be authentic until you know that. The third step is to take time and learn to like and accept ourselves just like we are. See, once we take the time and we can look in the mirror and we can examine our lives and we can embrace that everything in our lives is for a higher elevation. For me, using the example I used earlier, I had to take the time to accept that I was unaware, and as a result of that unawareness, I fell. And I accepted that I did that. I initially called myself a klutz, and then I just accepted. It wasn't that I was a klutz. I have great balance. I have great motor skills. I was just not aware. And in that lack of awareness, I got to reap the consequences. There's a law out there, the law of cause and effect. That's the only law there is. What you put out, you get back. I'm going to tell you, it works consciously, what you put out, and it works unconsciously, what you put out. And yesterday, I put out unconscious vibes that I was unaware, and the law brought me an experience back. It wasn't punishing me, it was giving me an exact vibration of who I was being. So the third step is real important. You got to take the time to learn to like and accept yourself just like you are. Once we know who we are, we will now choose things that bring us joy and personal satisfaction. Because when you know that hierarchy of values, you choose things that to support them, and because they're a high value for you, you're living in life. You're living in life. Last night, I wanted a special bowl of soup. And I'd already made the broth, and I knew what I wanted to do. And so I had Jean, my wife, bring out the broth. I scooped it in, and then I asked her to get me these specific noodles, and then asked me to get the bean sprouts, get me the specific seasoning. I was still cooking. I was sitting down, but she was helping me, because again, I asked for what I wanted when I wanted it. And I was able to get such joy out of eating that bowl of soup, because one of my top values is my health and well-being, and I truly place a value on the quality and love of the food that I put in my body. Because here's what I know: the food in my body becomes my body. So why would I put in anything but good food? Why would I put in junk to a body that I want, that is my only source of experience of this human form? I invite you to consider that. Are you putting in food that is healthy? And when you're putting in, are you preparing it, or has it been prepared in love? See, it's in this state of awareness that we realize that everything we do is really for us. And we stop being a people pleaser. There are a lot of you out there, I know, because I talk to people and I'm listening to them as they talk and talk. And I said, are you a people pleaser? Yeah. Why are we people pleasers? Because mommy and daddy taught us, if we're good, we'll get this. If we're bad, we'll get this. So we've learned to be people pleasers, and that denies us the opportunity to become great. And what is great? Living our life in alignment with our hierarchy of values, and living it with awareness, and creating value in the world and bringing it to more and more and more people, whatever it is if you are a magnificent gamer and you paint these game pieces and you become really good at it and you can paint for others, they'll gladly pay you. Or you could teach them how to paint. They'll pay for that. You're bringing a gift to people, but you've got to find the people that want what you've got, and then you give them that gift, and man, everyone wins. You see, people pleasing means one person wins. Mutual, being yourself authentic, attracting people who vibrate with you, both people win. You see, when we do these three things, loneliness now disappears, and we enjoy being by ourselves as well as being in the company of others. You see, until we can become peaceful, loving, and joyful, being alone, we cannot be peaceful, loving, and joyful with others. So if you're feeling lonely, I invite you to meditate today. If you haven't found a way to meditate, go to my YouTube channel, Lee Wolak. There's probably 12 or 14 meditations out there. Put one on, listen, and just be still. I want you to know that right now, I'm in your mind. And what I'm saying to you is, you are connected to the infinite. Embrace it. You are not alone. You are whole and perfect, just like you are. I want to thank you for joining us today. I'm so grateful that you took your time to watch or listen to this message. If you found this message beneficial, I would ask that you go to our website, agapecsl.com. Once there, click on the donate button and experience the joy of conscious and purposeful giving. Or if you would like, text your gift by simply dialing 972-532-6976. It is through your gifts that we are able to bring this message to you in the world. I would ask that if you like this message, to please subscribe to my YouTube channel under my name, Lee Wolak. Again, I want to thank you for joining me in the Agape community as we learn how to better self-love through conscious living.